Good morning.
It is.
Thank you. My question has to do with meditation, the process of meditation. It has to do with thoughts, and it has to do with memories. I'm curious because when I meditate, and I've been doing it for many, many years now, I've heard you say before that we consciously choose our thoughts, or that we choose our thoughts. My awareness is that I don't consciously choose thoughts when I meditate that kind of come into my field of awareness, and I notice them or don't. I'm wondering how then that I can choose thoughts consciously that are more productive for me.
We like the direction of your question because while we want to acknowledge that you are choosing your thoughts, we understand why it feels to you that you are not, and we want to say, in conjunction with you are choosing your thoughts, that law of attraction is delivering the array of thoughts from which you choose. So whatever tone or frequency you have set, that's the buffet of thoughts that you have access to. Nothing more or nothing less vibrationally, because law of attraction, you cannot set your radio dial on 101 FM and hear what's being played on 98 FM. In other words, the frequencies have to match up.
Based then upon my emotions?
Well, your emotions are your indicator of how the thought that you've got active meshes or blends or doesn't with the thought that source is thinking about the same subject in the same moment. We want to talk about that briefly here because it's something that most humans don't know. You are an extension of source. So while you are having this conversation, your source is focused here in this conversation. So, for example, let's say that you meet someone and you disapprove of them in some way. And so you're looking at them and you're thinking, we've been waiting for our luggage for 1 hour. Happened yesterday. Someone should call someone. And the nice man over the announcement system is saying, your luggage is on carousel 11, your luggage is on carousel 13, your luggage is on carousel 15. We don't actually know where your luggage is. So you are thinking, you are not very good at your job. But the source within you is not ever thinking that about that person. So when there is a disparity between the conclusion that you've come to, when you say, I don't like myself or I am inappropriate, the source within you never thinks a thought like that. And that's why the emotion that you feel is uncomfortable, because it indicates that you are in this moment, by virtue of what you have activated thought-wise, you are disallowing the full blending, the full connection, the full streaming of who you are. So let's get back to what you were talking about. When you meditate, the reason that we, and many teachers, but the reason that we teach meditation is because we think it's easier to teach you to quiet your mind and have no thought than it is for you to clean up all of your thoughts. It's just easier to focus upon something that quiets your mind down and makes your thought process less active. So if you're not offering a contradiction to the source within you, the source within you will become dominant. Esther attempted to describe that to you briefly as she began here today. She said, I'll walk over here and I'll quiet my mind and Abraham will hopefully show up. Well, that's what happens. In other words, in the absence of resistance, the fullness of who you are flows. So meditation, when you quiet your mind and stop resistance, then the questions that you've been asking, the solutions that you've been looking for, can begin to flow into your experience. And if you know that, and will quietly allow the momentum of them to increase until they are full thoughts that you can find.
Is it something we allow to increase, or something that we, for example, if I'm sitting and meditating, I think that I do a very good job of quieting my thought stream. But what I notice sometimes, and maybe it's a thought too, or it's certainly an awareness, but emotionally, and I've heard you talk about focusing on emotions, but I don't feel good right now in this meditation. I don't feel good. Then is it something that I should become more specific about trying to feel a higher vibrating emotion, or is it something I should detach from and move more into a state of allowing?
You went right where we were about to go, because we started to say to you that step 1 is the asking. Step 2 is source answering. And step 3, you've got to be in a place where you can allow yourself to receive the answer that source is offering. And so when you are in that uncomfortable place, the most important thing to understand is that your discomfort is your indication of a sort of cross current. Mm-hmm. And if it's been going on for a little while, we would get up and do something else and come back to meditation at another time. Mm-hmm. Because when you try to force it, it's like when you keep asking the question rather than allowing the answer, you keep practicing the vibration of the question, which is different than the vibration of the answer. You can sort of understand that? Where if you can quiet your mind, so you're not keeping the absence of what you want active, then in the absence of that introduction of resistance, the answer begins to flow to you.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll find that I try and, I don't want to say struggle my way through it, but in some ways struggle my way through it to feel a better emotion.
Well, we think the answer for you, what you really want to remind yourself of, is that step 1 and step 3 are two different steps. And a lot of times people misuse meditation. They go into meditation for the purpose of getting answers. So they're calling meditation the step 3 process. Mm-hmm. We want to call meditation the step 2, the step 3 process. We want to call meditation the quieting of the mind, which puts you in the place of allowing. But if your mind isn't quiet, or if you're getting out ahead of yourself, in other words, sometimes Esther discovered, once she found her alignment with us, that she can find it easily now and quickly. And so when she sits to meditate, the book just starts streaming through her mind. Now, this is what we wanted to get to this place, because you were talking about how in meditation, because we've been telling you that it's a quieted mind, then why are thoughts beginning to flow? Well, if you've quieted your mind and you've stopped your resistance, then your vibration raised. And when your vibration raised, now you're in the vibrational vicinity of all of the answers that you've been looking for, and now they're going to begin to stream into your experience. Esther's early instructions given to her by someone who was doing what she's doing here were quiet your mind. And when your mind wanders, focus on your breathing and release the thought. So Esther reached that point that you were talking about, where thoughts began to stream to her, but she thought she was doing something wrong, so she just breathed them away because she didn't realize that she was already beginning to receive. Mm-hmm. And so you just want to be easy about this. These are the things we want you to know. First of all, it's working perfectly for you. The process is unfolding perfectly for you, and nothing's gone wrong. Second, don't try to make it happen on any given occasion. Let your meditation time really be your chilling out time. Let it be that. A lot of times, you'll ask a question during the course of a day, just about anything, and then later, when you are least expecting it because you are no longer focusing upon it, the answer comes to you through some life experience, or even the thought just comes across your mind. And it's because you're not holding yourself in the tension of the unanswered question, you see. So just let there be a little distance between your asking and your receiving. This is an odd experience here, because you're asking, Esther's allowing, and we are giving the answer. In other words, we've got step 1, step 2, step 3 going on here. But when you're on your own, step 1 is step 1, and step 2 is step 2, and step 3 is step 3, and don't try to make them all happen at the same time, you see. Meditation is a powerful tool. And if we were standing in any of your physical shoes, we would be meditating on a regular basis just for the sweet relief of quieting your mind. There is no better way of stopping the momentum of something unwanted to allow the beginning of the momentum of something wanted than to meditate, other than a full night's sleep. So we would use it in that way.